Are you wondering how to create dependencies in Smartsheet? Well, if that's the case, then you've come to the right place because today I'm going to be walking you through exactly what you need to do. Now, I am on a trial account, so do bear that in mind. I do need to protect my company's data, but the process that I'm going to walk through is exactly the same, and it's exactly what you're going to need to do in your own account. So with that said, let's now delve into it. So as you can see here, I've just set up a new workspace and a new sheet or grid that I'm going to be using to demo this functionality for you. So you will need to do this obviously on your own sheet, but I'm just going to show you what you need to set up. So this is a brand new sheet. So there's nothing, I've done nothing in here at all. So as you can see, we've got all of our columns, the kind of default value of the column name. And what you need to do is you need to start with, let's say, we're going to change a little bit of data just to make sure that we're in a good place to set up the dependencies. So I'm going to call this task for now. And what we could do here is we could have a parent-child relationship. We could have something like project initiation in here. I'm going to bold that, and then I'm going to put something like discuss requirements with client. Then I'm going to say, I'm going to unbold this. So what I'm just trying to do here is just show you how this is all going to work, and I'm going to put that in an indent. So we've got this kind of roll up functionality. And what we could actually do is we could put 1, and then we could put, or 1. What I just want to show you is how this would work in kind of real time for a project. So here we go. Here's some kind of WBS in there as well. Actually, failing that, we might want to actually do a WBS column. And we could call this 1 and 1.1. Okay, let's just get this out. Right, okay. Okay, so we've got a couple of tasks. We've got work breakdown structure code, and we'll just put one more in here, and we'll just call this project execution. Okay, so what you now need to do, I'm going to bold this actually, sorry, and then put this out here, and we'll call this 2. So we've got our tasks in here. Now what you need to do is you need to first put in some date columns. So what we're going to call this is start date, and we're going to change the column type to date, and we're going to restrict to dates only. Make sure that's checked. Press OK, and we need to have a secondary date column as well, because we need this to, if we want dependencies, we almost need, well, we need a start and end date for each task. Bear in mind, you could do this for projects as well. So I'm doing this almost as a mini project plan. You could do this as a kind of on a portfolio level. So instead of doing, tasks, you could do this with projects. So as an example, this could be project A, this could be project B. So do bear that in mind. It works the same way. I'm actually going to delete these columns out for now because we don't need them. So we'll delete those. I'm going to hit save. Okay. Now what you need to do, I'll delete this row actually, sorry, because we don't want that. What you need to do to set up the dependencies, and this is the most effective means of doing so, is if you right click the primary column, you want to click edit project settings. Okay. So, sorry, I just wanted to check these are in date format. Edit project settings. So click this, and you will notice there's a whole section called dependency settings. Now you want to enable the dependencies. So you click that, and what it will say is duration and predecessors columns have been added to the sheet. Now you could theoretically build these yourself, but I just like to do it via the project settings. I find it much easier, and it puts everything in place. Now the predecessor column, you select predecessors. Well, it's done that by default. And the duration column, you obviously select duration, but again, it's done that by default. Otherwise, if you hadn't have created these columns, if you hadn't have automated these column creations, then you would have built them yourself and then almost selected them on the drop down here, okay? But we haven't done that, and I wouldn't recommend you do it. Press OK. Now, here's the interesting thing. What we now need to do to set up the dependencies, so imagine the dependencies as the predecessor column. This is almost the equivalent. This is where we're setting up the dependencies between tasks in this demo, but again, as I mentioned before, it could be projects. So let's put some dates in here. Okay, so because I've got subtasks, I need to put it in here. So let's say the start date of this particular task is today. So I'm going to select today's date. And it's brought this up because it's a parent-child relationship, okay? Now, so it's automatically populated the duration as 1 day. So what you could theoretically do is you could change this to 5 days, and you'll notice that the end date reflects accordingly. So that's just a little tip there. You can do that to update things in real time. So say the client says, oh, this is going to take a week. You just put 7 in the duration and it's going to update the end date. Just saves you having to go through the calendar view here and change it. So that's a little tip there. They kind of work accordingly together. Now, how do we set up the predecessors? So project execution cannot start until project initiation completes. So what we need to do here is set up the predecessor. So in here, so you click in this cell and you click the pencil, and then what you want to do is put row 1, okay? Because project execution in this instance is reliant on project initiation completing. So we'll put project initiation there, and then you have a different type of dependency that you can set up. So finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, and start to finish. Now we want finish to start, and that essentially means when this one finishes, we want this one to start. Kind of makes sense. Lag is the number of days in between. So what this would mean, say you've got a task that you don't want to start for 7 days until after the previous task is completed. Then you'd put, say, 7 in that, or 1. Lag essentially means days. We don't want any lag, so we want the minute that the first task completes, we want to move into the next task. That's what the dependency we want. So we'll put 0 in here. Press OK, and you'll see this says predecessor 1. And what that basically means, so the way the predecessor column works is you're literally just referencing the row. Okay, so now when I start updating this, and you'll notice this is automatically put in a date. So let's say we change this to next week. So keep your eye on this field here. It's updated because of the predecessor that we've set up. Now this has probably been a little bit confusing because I put the subtask in, but I just wanted to show you that that's how it kind of works. And this obviously rolls up. So imagine this is just a roll up of everything that follows underneath, and it will take the last data. So if I quickly remove that, let's just quickly remove it because it's a little bit confusing. So let's put this in here. So let's do one more example. We'll do project closure. I'm missing a few stages, of course, but I want to show you how it works. So let's say we wanted to set up this predecessor or dependency on project execution. You would simply put in 2 here because it's row 2. Now, if you want to delve into the specifics, I should say, is you click the pencil icon, and here you would go through this again, and this is where you could change this if you wanted to, and you could put in a lag. So let's say we want 7 days after execution. Okay, so I've done that, and you'll notice here what this is basically saying is row 2 finish to start plus 7 days. Excellent. So that's how you set up dependencies in Smartsheet. How does that all work? Well, if we go over to the Gantt view, you will now see, if I drag this across, you will see this in play. So what this is essentially saying, same thing, just obviously in your Gantt version and view, is project execution can't start until project initiation finishes, and project closure can't start until project execution finishes with a delay of 7 days, a lag of 7 days. Okay. Now, one other quick thing I'm going to show you is, let's remove the predecessors and let's just get rid of all this. No, sorry, let's put that all in. Let's just put some dates in. So this is going to take a day, this is going to take a week, and this is going to take whatever there. Press save. Okay, so we've got 3 different tasks. You can actually create the dependencies via the Gantt view. And to do that, if you open the Gantt view, so let's go to grid, I'll show you how to do that again. You click this drop down, click Gantt view, drag this across to expand, and then what you want to do, and this is how you create the dependencies in the Gantt view itself, is hover over the top right of the task. Oh, sorry, I've not done that properly. So left click there. So what I did, sorry, because it went a bit funny, hover over the top right of the task on the Gantt view. You see that little black plus logo, or icon, I should say. Left click on your mouse. I've done it again. And then drag. Sorry, it's gone a bit funny. I don't know what I've done. Right, sorry. Left click to select off of it. Left click here and drag. And then you drag it all the way to the start of the next task, and that sets up the dependency. So you notice it's pulled it across, and that's because it needs to start when this one finishes. At the moment, we've got that, start to finish dependency that we've set up. Again, left click, and drag to the next. Now, if you dragged it to the other side, I believe, I don't know if you can do that actually. No, maybe not. I was just thinking if you drag it to the other side, it might do a start. It might do a start. Change the dependency type basically, but don't worry about that. We can't do that, unfortunately. But yeah, that's how to set it up via the Gantt view. Let me just quickly set that one up to here. Again, we've got the dependency enabled. So yeah, two ways of doing it. You can do it via the predecessor column, or you can do it via the Gantt view. And the best means of doing it is you need two date columns, you need a predecessor column, and you need a duration column. And the best way to do that is right click on the primary column, edit the project settings, and make sure dependencies are enabled. So I hope this video was useful. If it was, please do hit the like button. That tells me I should continue recording videos like this. And do drop any comments down below if you have any questions about this whole process, if anything's confusing, or you want anything cleared up, or you want me to discuss anything further in a future video. And do consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And if you head over to my channel, you notice there's a whole Smartsheet training playlist with loads of different videos on teaching you how to use Smartsheet and the platform and getting the most out of the functionality. I believe I've got over 90 videos at the time of recording, so be sure to check that out. So with all that said, I hope you have an excellent day.